Automation is the bridge between your tool stack, your tech stack, and your profitability margin. So let's talk about automation because this is where profitability is either created or destroyed. Automation only works when the same tool is used consistently, the same workflows apply to every client, and the service outcome is predictable. A bloated stack will kill automation. Why? Because every exception now requires a human intervention. Every deviation breaks the workflow. Every special case, quote unquote, becomes a permanent exception. But when services are standardized and tools are intentional, automation becomes repeatable, documentable, trainable, and scalable. And this is how MSPs move away from hero technicians to operational maturity. Automation isn't about doing less work. It's about doing the work once and delivering it many times. Welcome to the MSPZone. I'm your host, Charles Weaver. Today, we're going to talk about something that almost every managed service provider struggles with at some point, but very few are willing to confront honestly. I'm talking about profitability, MSP profitability. Not growth, not revenue, not how busy your team is, actual profit. Because if you're an MSP owner listening to this, there's a good chance you've had this exact thought at least once. Hey, we're busy, we're slammed, tickets are flying, customers seem happy. So why does it feel like the money just never shows up? It's not because MSPs don't work hard, I'll tell you that. It's not because clients refuse to pay fair prices. And it's not because the market is too competitive. The real problem is under the surface of your MSP practice. Most MSPs have built their business around tools instead of services. Now, over time, that decision quietly reshapes everything in your MSP practice, your cost structure, your delivery model, your staff utilization, and ultimately your margins. And that leads to bloated technology stacks, fractured service delivery, inconsistent outcomes, and profit that leaks out of your business one tool subscription at a time. Now, if you've ever looked at your P&L and thought, we're doing everything right, why isn't this working? This episode is for you. I want to start off by talking about the MSP tool stack problem. And it's something that has existed for as long as the managed services profession has been in existence, but unfortunately it still exists today. And there's a lot of younger MSPs, doesn't mean not large MSPs. There's some significantly large MSPs who have a tech stack problem. And I want to talk about that right now. So no MSP sets out to build a bloated tech stack, right? That's not an outcome that people go, consciously towards. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens one decision at a time. A new security product comes out because a vendor scared you with a breach story, a different backup platform because one client had a bad experience with your last one. Maybe an RMM add-on because the demo looked really impressive. Maybe you buy that PSA integration that everyone's raving about because everybody else is using it, so maybe we should too, right? Each decision feels rational in isolation, but over time, you wake up with multiple tools solving the same problem in different ways. Overlapping security controls that no one fully understands, platforms only one technician knows how to really manage effectively, and integrations that technically exist but don't actually work well together. Internally, this creates tool fatigue. Now, your team spends more time navigating software than delivering outcomes, and that's a problem. Externally, this destroys consistency. Two clients with the same contract get fundamentally different experiences and outcomes. And financially, well, that's where the margin is getting destroyed. You're paying for licenses you barely use, features that you never really operationalized, and tools that add complexity instead of reducing labor. This pattern shows up again and again in MSP maturity certifications like the Cyber Verify and the UCS. And it's a distinct problem, but it's a problem that is very, very solvable. MSPs accumulate tools faster than they rationalize their own services. So here's the reality most MSPs miss, and it's an important point. If your tools are inconsistent, your services cannot be consistent. What do I mean by that? Services are not defined by what a tool can do. They're defined by what your MSP practice can reliably deliver every time at scale. We're going to come back to this over and over and over again because it's part of what addresses the profitability issue. When your tech stack is bloated, every client becomes a snowflake. They're all different. Every technician solves the same problem a little bit differently. Automation breaks at the first exception. Documentation becomes tribal knowledge. Onboarding turns into a custom engineering project every time. Follow me here? At that point, you're not delivering managed services. You're delivering custom labor disguised as a service plan. And custom labor does not scale, does not produce margin, and does not protect your team from burnout. This is why so many MSPs technically have offerings, service offerings, but they don't actually have a service catalog in any operational sense of the word. So what is the relationship between tools and service that I'm talking about here? Well, the high margin MSPs, mature MSPs, flip the model entirely. They don't start with tools. They start with a service. A service should only exist in your MSP practice if it can be clearly defined. It can be delivered the same way every single time. It can be automated or at least partially automated. And it can be supported by a small intentional set of tools. Now, this leads to a fundamental shift in thinking, or it should. And that is, tools are implementation details. Services are the product. Your services are the product. When services are well designed, your tools become interchangeable. Vendors lose leverage over your business, which is scary to them, but it's good for you. Risk becomes manageable. Margins become defensible. This is why mature MSPs often reduce their tech stack while they are increasing revenue. See, they don't chase tools. They design services and choose the tools that serve those particular services. Now let's move on to the question of automation. Automation is the bridge between your tool stack, your tech stack, and your profitability margin. So let's talk about automation because this is where profitability is either created or destroyed. Automation only works when the same tool is used consistently, the same workflows apply to every client, and the service outcome is predictable. A bloated stack will kill automation. Why? Because every exception now requires a human intervention. Every deviation breaks the workflow. Every special case, quote unquote, becomes a permanent exception. But when services are standardized and tools are intentional, automation becomes repeatable, documentable, trainable, and scalable. And this is how MSPs move away from hero technicians to operational maturity. Automation isn't about doing less work. It's about doing the work once and delivering it many times. So how do you move from services to a real MSP service catalog? Because that's ultimately where you want to get to. A real service catalog, an MSP service catalog, is not a marketing brochure. It's an operational contract you have with yourself and ultimately with your customers. An MSP, a mature MSP service catalog, defines exactly what is included and what is not. It ties each service to specific tools and workflows, enables pricing based on cost, risk, and delivery effort. We call that risk-based pricing. We've been talking about that for decades. And this is exactly what is unlocked and able to be used by you if you have an MSP service catalog. It protects margin by eliminating ambiguity. And when you have services that are clearly defined, pricing becomes rational, margin becomes predictable, growth becomes intentional. And this is why service catalogs are repeatedly identified as foundational, not optional, for sustainable business success in an MSP practice. So here's the hard truth. If your tech stack is bloated, if your services are vague, they're not really defined, if your services change from client to client, You're not running a managed services business. You're running a collection of tools and people hoping that they align, and they will probably never align. Profitability does not come from working harder. It comes from working deliberately. That means fewer tools, fewer services, clear definitions, automation by design, delivery at scale. So here's my takeaway. Margin is not a pricing problem. It's a design problem. It's an architecture problem in your managed services practice. Design your services first. Choose tools that serve those services, automate what you intend to repeat, and build a service catalog that you can actually deliver. Because in the end, MSP profitability isn't about selling more. It's about selling what you can deliver consistently, efficiently, and at scale. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and the like button. We'll see you in the next episode.